The devil isn't waiting for you after death. He's already inside your head, and his greatest victory? Convincing you that your fears, your doubts, and your endless distractions are normal. In 1938, Napoleon Hill wrote a book so dangerous it was hidden for over 70 years. Not because it was nonsense, not because it was evil, but because it revealed how people are really controlled. This book, Outwitting the Devil, exposes the silent enemy inside every human mind. And if you don't understand it, you're already under its control. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel, we uncover truths most people are too afraid to face. If this resonates with you, hit subscribe right now, because what follows may just rewire the way you see your own life. Most people know Napoleon Hill for Think and Grow Rich, the success manual that millions have read. But right after finishing it, Hill wrote something far more dangerous. Instead of a guide on how to get rich, he wrote an imagined interrogation of the devil himself. The devil wasn't a red monster with horns. He was a voice, a presence, a force that thrives on fear, laziness, and conformity. Hill's wife read the manuscript and panicked. She told him it was too controversial, too risky, too offensive to the church, to schools, to society. The book would destroy his reputation, so it was locked away for decades. Hill died. Generations passed, and only in 2011, 73 years later, did the world finally read what he had dared to write. And when people opened those pages, they realized Hill wasn't warning us about some supernatural villain. He was describing the very system of control we live under every single day. Why was it hidden? Because dangerous truths are always censored. Every empire, every institution, every system of power has one reflex: silence whatever threatens its control. Throughout history, the most disruptive books have been banned. Philosophers imprisoned, prophets executed. Hill's work might not have killed anyone, but it could kill illusions. And illusions are what society runs on. In Hill's interview, the devil confesses, his most powerful weapon is fear. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of death. But the devil's true genius isn't in creating fear, it's in turning it into paralysis. He doesn't need to drag you to hell. He only needs to make you afraid of living fully. Think about your own life. How many times have you wanted to start something new, but didn't? Because you were afraid it might not work. How many times did you swallow your words instead of speaking your truth, because you were afraid of what others might say? This is where the devil wins. He uses 3 layers of fear. The small fears: sending that email, making that phone call, having that uncomfortable conversation. These seem minor, but when stacked together, they form the invisible bars of your prison. The big fears: quitting your job, starting your business, walking on stage. These hold you back from your biggest goals and dreams. Entire lives are wasted here, sitting on unrealized potential. The existential fear: being wrong, being alone, being insignificant. This is the deepest layer, the one that whispers in the silence of the night, the one you can't shake off by distraction. These fears create a state Hill calls drifting. Drifting means living without direction, without purpose, without conscious choice. It's like a ship with no destination and no rudder. Not actively sinking, but at the mercy of every wave and current. And eventually, it will hit the rocks. And drifting is not always obvious. It often wears the disguise of comfort. Netflix binges, scrolling TikTok for hours, reading the same bad news every morning and convincing yourself you're informed. Drifting can look like being busy, even productive, but it's motion without meaning. Look around. Society rewards drifters. If you stay quiet, obedient, distracted, and predictable, The system loves you. If you question, disrupt, or take control of your own destiny, you become dangerous. And that's exactly why the devil wants you drifting. Hill says humanity can be split into two groups. The drifters, the majority. Sleepwalkers. They wake up, commute, obey, consume, repeat. They avoid risk. They cling to comfort. They never stop to ask, what do I truly want? Their beliefs come from the morning news, their motivation from the next viral video, and their sense of purpose from their paycheck. And then the non-drifters, the rare ones. They think independently. They choose direction. They don't just consume information. They seek wisdom. They don't just react to their circumstances. They design their life. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people watching this right now are drifters. Statistically, you probably are too. And don't kid yourself. You can't just declare, I'm not a drifter. Every time you scroll instead of creating, every time you avoid instead of acting, you drift. The difference isn't perfection, it's awareness. It's the conscious choice to stop and ask, am I reacting or am I acting? The devil doesn't need violence. He doesn't need fire and brimstone. He uses comfort. He uses distraction. He uses the endless stream of entertainment, gossip, and trivial pleasures that keep you numb. Picture a crowd of people, all walking in the same direction, heads down, following each other without question. That's drifting. And in the middle of them stands one person who suddenly looks up, sees the horizon, and chooses another path. That's the non-drifter. The question is, which one are you? Fear and drifting are his primary weapons, but in Hill's interview, the devil reveals more tools. Indecision. If he can keep you stuck in I don't know, you'll never act. Endless weighing of pros and cons until the moment passes. Procrastination. Delay long enough and opportunities vanish. You tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. Addiction. To food, alcohol, screens, or anything that keeps you weak, distracted, or chemically dependent. Addiction steals your will. Groupthink. When individuals stop questioning and blindly follow the crowd, the devil barely has to work. People become their own jailers. Does this sound familiar? It should. We live in an age of fear-driven news cycles, algorithmic distractions, dopamine-fueled scrolling, and the suffocating pressure to think the same as everyone else. Hill was describing 1938, but it feels like he was describing today. So how do you beat the devil? Hill gives 3 keys. Definiteness of purpose. This is your rudder. Know what you want, why you want it, and who you choose to become. Without purpose, you drift. With purpose, you cut through fear. Purpose is the lighthouse in the fog, the reason you keep moving, even when the seas are violent. Self-discipline, not punishment, control, directing your thoughts, your time, your body, your habits. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to go. It's not about restriction, it's about expansion. Without discipline, every dream is just wishful thinking. Independent thought, the hardest of all. It means questioning the herd, questioning authority, and questioning even your own assumptions. The devil doesn't live in fire. He lives in the unquestioned beliefs in your mind. The voices that say, that's just the way it is, or that's impossible. Every time you accept those without thinking, you hand him the keys. Freedom comes the moment you stop outsourcing your thinking. Maybe you think, this is just a metaphor, just a book, but whether you call it the devil, the ego, the conditioned mind, or simply fear, the result is the same. Most of humanity is drifting, That's why we live in a world of people stuck in jobs they hate, relationships they've outgrown, and lives they never consciously chose. Hill's devil isn't fantasy. He's a mirror, a reflection of the voice inside you that whispers, "Stay safe, don't risk it, don't change, don't wake up," but you can choose differently. And once you choose, you'll see how fragile the devil's grip really is. So I'll leave you with this question: are you drifting, or are you finally awake? If this video stirred something inside you, subscribe now. Because if you felt that whisper while watching this, it means you need what comes next more than you think.